Mike here, November 29th, small red day for me. And on my losing trade today, there is a very important lesson that I'm going to cover with you. So hopefully you don't make the same mistake that I did. I made a mistake today in TNXP and it cost me. And this video is going to be relatively short, but pretty important because I'm going to go over the mistake that I made today, and so maybe hopefully you guys don't make the same mistake as I did. And I was pretty upset with myself because I could have come out of the day with a really nice green day. I caught a decent short today on one stock, and if I didn't make the mistake that I did in TNXP, I would have actually been profitable on this trade instead of in the red, and I could have had a good day. Instead, I'm sitting here slightly red. So let's get right to it. And the lesson here, guys, has to do with a volume lesson and a previous high of the day or the initial morning high. So let's get right to it. TNXP, lead gapper on the day, recent reverse split. I traded it yesterday. Everyone's talking about it today. Comes out with news. They have this gap up and they put in this initial morning high because we pulled in right off the bell, and there's your initial morning high. What I want you guys to notice is we broke through the initial morning high and I got long TNXP right there. Okay, right there on that first pullback down to that previous high, I got long. And the mistake that I made here, guys, is I got too caught up in the hype. I got too caught up in TNXP. It was the lead gapper. There was a lot of volume. I was like, oh, I can get some good size. Everyone's talking about it. They've got a press release, recent reverse split. And I got caught up in the hype, and that caused me to make this mistake. And I did not pay close enough attention to the volume on the break through the high of the day. The stronger the volume through the high of the day, the greater the chance of that previous high acting as an area of support. The weaker the volume through that high, the lesser chance you have of that previous high acting as a support level, and you have a chance of the stock pulling itself back in rather than holding support at that high and continuing higher. Okay, and what you can see here with TNXP, I did not wait for support to show its face. I threw a bid in here at 816, okay, in front of that support level, expecting it to hold, looking for a real kind of reverse split short squeeze up towards $10. And I got filled, and it went straight through me. Okay, the stock went straight through me, broke down below that previous high, and I got stopped out of this position right down in here. Okay, very, very frustrated with myself. I'll take it to my trade announcements. Let me zoom this in for you. Here you guys can see long TX. Oh, it's actually a typo. TNXP at 816. Stop loss 768. So this is a typo. It's supposed to be TNXP. Okay, 816. Back to my trade announcements, guys. The mistake that I made was not paying attention to the volume, because you can see that compared to the opening bell candle, this is not that strong of a volume surge through that high of the day. Okay, it's not. It's less than half the volume of this opening bell candle. And had this volume bar, had this second volume bar, guys, looked like this, okay, then the chances of that support level kicking in there become much greater. And when you get that, you can look to maybe bid in front of that support level because you may only get one chance at that retest of that previous high before the stock continues higher. Versus when the volume is not as strong through that high, you might want to wait for the stock to bounce off that level, show you support is there, rather than try to bid in front of it and try to anticipate that support being there. Wait for the stock to turn the corner and then look to jump in that position. I jumped the gun here. I did not wait for support to show its face, and it went right through me. And the reason for that is because the volume was not as strong as it needed to be for that support level to really kick in at that level. I got caught up in the hype, and I didn't pay attention to that volume. Now, in comparison to that, let's take a look at ASNS, because this is a good example of what the volume should look like when you go after the stock when it's just pulling into that support level, and when it's safe to bid in front of that level as opposed to waiting for the stock to bounce off that level, waiting for support to show its face. This is when it's okay to anticipate that support. ASNS puts in kind of a triple top here. Okay, intraday. Here is your resistance at the high of the day. You can see right after 2 o'clock, coming out of lunchtime, we broke through the high of the day. On the strongest volume, the stock has traded literally the entire day. So here's the open. You can see this is the heaviest volume that the stock traded all day. That's the kind of volume that you want to see when you're going to bid right in front of that previous high and try to get long on that pullback. And as I zoom this in, you guys can see once we broke through, we pulled back in, touched that previous high, bounced off it, and just took off. Okay, and this could have been a really nice trade. Okay, and the difference here is the volume that came in on the break through the high. You could have sat here with a bid right in this area, got filled, and the stock would have taken off, and this trade would have worked out in your favor. And it's okay to do that when you see the volume is as strong as it was through that high. Now, when I go back to TNXP, look at the difference. Look at the difference in the volume on the break through the high of the day. Okay, and I believe that's the reason why the support level did not hold. And when you see that kind of weaker volume on the break through the high, you've got to be careful bidding right in front of that level as opposed to waiting for support to show its face. That's the mistake that I made. Okay, I didn't pay enough attention to the volume, and I paid for it today. Okay, so that's it. That's the basis of the lesson today. It's a mistake that I made that I don't want you guys to make going forward. So when you're looking for stocks to break through the high of the day and you're trying to get long on that pullback to retest that previous high, pay very close attention to the volume that comes in on that break. If it's the heaviest volume the stock's traded the whole day and you want to throw a bid out there and try to get filled on that first pullback before the stock takes off again, then you have a much greater chance of that support level holding. If the volume through the high of the day is not that strong, you might maybe want to wait for the stock to pull in and bounce off that previous high, show you their support there, rather than you jumping in trying to anticipate it. Okay? That's a mistake I made. Don't make the same mistake I made. See you guys in chat tomorrow. Take care.